Vintage Kenner toys, some of them Star Wars, found behind a wall? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. Tell you about this crazy story. Now, you've heard about the Kenner morgue. I've done a whole video about that. It's not as gruesome as it sounds, but anyway, this was one of the building factories for Kenner, and this is where they housed a lot of their prototypes, concept pieces, original artwork. Well, when Hasbro decided to close down Kenner in year 2000, that building, and like the other Kenner buildings, went out of business. And this factory building that was on Robertson Avenue in the Oakley neighborhood of Cincinnati, Ohio, sat vacant, sat there empty on a lot, falling apart. Over time, homeless started to move in. It seems that they would just burn stuff to, keep warm. Some of that was probably valuable concept art, Kenner papers, things we probably would love to look at today. Who knows? They may have even burned a rocket firing Boba Fett. You never really know what was all lost during all this. Well, about 3 years ago, the city decided to tear down the old factory. But don't worry, they didn't just tear it down to pave in a parking lot. It's now a living community, 3 Oaks. But as the city was getting ready to demolish this old building, Kenner Collector, who runs the Facebook Cincinnati Toy Museum, along with his brother, was contacted by a family member of a real estate investor who owned the Kenner building. The two would talk back and forth over email and text for about 2 years as he tried himself to walk through the warehouse. But in 2020, he got unfortunate news that the building was overrun by a homeless camp. And due to that and safety reasons, he couldn't guarantee a walkthrough. Seems they were having legal issues due to squatters' rights about getting the homeless people out of the building. However, some things were found pretty early on. A 1978 Kenner catalog. It was just in a back drawer. And it was one of the few things that could be burned that didn't get burned. Most of the other catalogs and paperwork was burned by the homeless camp. It seems that they didn't find a lot of stuff, some old paperwork and stuff, but one of the first finds was bags and bags of Kenner coins. No, not the Power of the Force coins. In 1991, Kenner brought back that coin concept for the starting lineup, and they found bags and bags of unused, like new condition coins from starting lineup. But then, really nothing else was found. But then the construction workers started tearing down things, and on the bottom floor, between the walls, they found toys, not just Star Wars toys, all kinds of toys. Looking at this picture here, I see the box and the Falcon to the micro collection of Star Wars. I believe that's Lex Luthor's ship from the Superpowers line, and some other things also. And one amazing thing that was found, a 1985 skiff. That's right, one of the rarest ships in the Star Wars line, the Tatooine skiff. This thing is amazing. Now, it wasn't in the great condition or anything, but they found it. And not only did they find it and keep it and preserve it, they even built a case for it to display it. Doesn't it look sweet? You can't believe it, right? Between the walls. Now, how did these toys get between the walls? Well, the guys that was in contact with the construction workers really couldn't figure it out. They was baffled by this until a toy show came to Cincinnati, and there they talked to an old former Kenner employee. They let them know back in the 80s they had this big monster painting on the wall, and the mouth part was open. It was like just a big hole in the wall. And these toy designers, these toy workers, they would get bored at times, or maybe doing a prototype or something that wasn't going right, or they were through with it, and they would just try to throw it in the mouth and ring that hole, thinking, hey, that stuff's never going to be seen again. When Tonka bought Kenner, things changed. The hole was covered up, the monster was painted over, and those toys stayed between the wall until the building came down. And another cool find was a Kenner sign that seemed to be there since the 70s. It's using the Kenner bird, and Kenner bird was gone probably by the late 70s, but that's a pretty cool thing to find. Now, if you've seen my video on the morgue, you know before they even tore this building down, when they first closed it down, Kenner came in and cleaned house. Sent a lot of it to Hasbro, but most of it ended up in the trash. Yeah, in the dumpster out back. Whew. I would have loved to went dumpster diving in that dumpster. A lot got thrown away. If you didn't see that video, please check that out. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. But that's the story of how Kenner Star Wars toys and other Kenner toys ended up abandoned behind a wall. Crazy story, right? Well, I want to thank you for watching. As always, thumbs up on my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.